Good morning, folks. My name is Manny, and this is my story, for real.
What's up out there? My name is Ernest, and this is my story, for real.
It's Michael, and this is my story, for real.
Well,
We're here this morning at Bryan Park, man. This is one of the places that me and a few of my brothers come over here, to do a little fitness training early in the morning. What we're trying to do today is, give you guys a little bit of input about each one of us and, where we come from and where we're going in our lives.
Come out here, and have peace, and serenity in life, man. That our lives don't have to be full of drama, chaos, and so forth.
I get a spiritual connection, in moments like this, whether, I'm just, sitting alone or, just in my studio, doing some of my campus work. I'm hoping I can pass, some of that on to you all, man. I think we all got different gifts and abilities, man, and, for the simple fact that we don't slow down in life, we will never find what those gifts are.
Going through active addiction and ending up boom, slam right here in this moment right now ain't no coincidence. There's a reason.
This is one of the many places I visit, occasionally come and play handball. I'm here today to shoot this documentary to tell you guys a little bit about me and where I come from and what are my thoughts on, a few things that are going on in my life right now. I was born in Cuba, but you might as well have said, that I should have been born in Missouri, the show me state. As a young man, you could never tell me nothing, you had to show me. And even then, I might not still do some of the things that I was told to do. Some of these pictures are my family history, man. This particular picture stands out because, this is this is my father in Cuba. He must have been like 21 years old, and needless to say, he's been a great dad. I love him to death. But our history is our history. Alcoholism, it's a big part of our genetic lines, from my grandfather, to my father, to me. This is how I was brought up, as a young man in Cuba. Growing up in Cuba, I remember visiting my dad in prison, and then my dad telling me how his dad also went to prison. By the time I was 10 years old, I was already drinking. By the time I was 11, I was already smoking marijuana, and by the time I was 13, I was already doing cocaine. This is part of my story. By the time I was 17, I was sentenced to 15 years in prison. I landed in a pretty bad place. It's a place where it's dark and it's cold. Not just in the sense of the physical form, but in the spiritual sense. I went to prison. I was sentenced here in Palm Beach County and in Broward County. To multiple sentences. As a result of that, I did a total of 11 and a half years in prison. During that period of time in my life, I learned how to sit still, and it wasn't by will that I sat still. I had no choice. During this time, I remember, sitting down occasionally, and I started drawing, and it was during those moments where I felt like I was free. So as crazy as it seems, and as hard as it may sound, how do you explain that somebody that's behind a fence, that's getting counted 4 times a day, that's being told when to go eat, when to wake up, etc., can actually feel free? On this particular picture, I'm holding a young man's hand. His name is Jaime Silva. this young man caught himself in a situation in life that he never thought that he was gonna, be on. And at this moment in my life, I was at Glades Correctional Facility, a maximum security prison here in Belle Glades, Florida, Palm Beach County. This young man is serving a life sentence for one simple mistake. And he explained, what happened in this case. And the actual person, who did the offense of murder, was his co-defendant. And because of his co-defendant testifying against him, his co-defendant, I think, got like 7 or 8 years. And he wasn't even aware of what took place till after the fact. They went to go do a burglary. And during the burglary, they went into separate rooms. And the room where his co-defendant went to, there was an old lady sleeping. And the old lady woke up, and his co-defendant suffocated the lady to death. He was in another room, not even aware of what was going on. And they left, and his co-defendant never told them. A few days later, they were arrested. And, Silva's, is a magnificent young man, one honest mistake cost him his life.
My name is Ernest, and I'm out here with my little homie Chris, and we're just out and about in the neighborhood, man, trying to put together this documentary. My journey into this whole thing started in a house just like this in behind me when I was a kid back in Jacksonville, Florida. And in that house, I grew up around a lot of drugs, alcohol, violence, and I believe that it was in that house that a lot of my attitudes and behaviors were shaped. I learned at a very young age to mash my feelings. There was this one particular situation that happened in my childhood that was like a catalyst in my life that really propelled me into the life that I lived for so long. About 14 years old when my mom went to prison. She was in a car accident. She went to prison for vehicular manslaughter because somebody in the car died when she got in a wreck. And I can remember that, being left alone, me and my 2 brothers, and me being the oldest child, I had to grow up real quick. That decision really turned my life around, man. It sent me on a path of 25 years of jails, institutions, and spiritual death. I went to the streets, and I started, slinging coke and using drugs and ripping and running, and got caught up in that lifestyle. By the time I was 18 years old, I was doing my first bid in prison, and for 25 years, that was my life.
I was born May 24th, 1991. I was born addicted to crack. I was born in Trenton, New Jersey. I remember as a child, things were really, really dark. I went through the foster system because of my biological mom's inability to take care of me, basically. So in the foster system, I endured physical and mental abuse, torture, whatever you want to call it. All I knew that I was a child, and some of the things that happened to me shouldn't have been happening. I never felt like I belonged. I always thought I was a mistake. I was always in a dark place where I thought I really didn't deserve anything. This is as a child. Throughout my teenage years, there was always something missing. At the age of 19, I was homeless. Nobody wanted to be around me, and that's where I brought myself. I remember when I started selling drugs, just the feeling I would get from knowing that people relied on me, knowing that I could make as much money as I wanted to. There was all these different methods And my belief system was I could really just do whatever I wanted. Through my active addiction, I remember the feeling of what it would be like if I could not get high that day. If I could not use, it was nerve-wracking. I felt like everything would end if I didn't get high, and that was just a real dark way to live, to the point where I'm stealing from the people that I love and I care about the most. Having started to learn about the disease of alcoholism and addiction, I've come to understand why. Some people don't have to be in the ground to be dead. Some people walk around as zombies because something that they continue to hold on to, something that they can't let go, that continues to haunt them and regulate who they are today. And it's sad, because if you can't let go, you can't live.
You know, I was talking earlier about how the decisions I made as a kid affected my life in the future. And as you can see, I'm standing in front of a corrections facility. And I'm trying to let you know that the decisions I made as a young kid actually put me in one of these facilities for over 16 years of my life. You know, and every time I came out and I tried to do the same thing, I always ended up right back in that system. You know, I spent almost 20 years of my life doing this whole incarceration thing. And what I'm trying to let you guys know is that those decisions do affect our lives. And I'm trying to get you to understand that you don't have to go that route. You know, with the drug use and the gang-related violence and the promiscuous sex and all those different things. You know, and I understand that not everybody grew up in a hard neighborhood. Not everybody was just thrown in a situation, you know. A lot of us come from good homes, good families, good surroundings. And what we're doing is actually making conscious decisions to live a certain way. You know, doing that whole incarceration thing, in and out, to a point that I was actually institutionalized, where I actually felt like I was more comfortable in prison than I was on the street, you know. And to finally, you know, get to this point in my life where you know, where I am actually free and can enjoy life, man, it's amazing. It's, you know, I'm somewhat awed by it at times.
This is what made me feel like I had something. This is what made me kind of whole. You know, this is my art. This is my art. When I was out on the field, you know, that there was really nobody that could stop me. There was really nothing that I felt could stop me while I was on the football field, and I like that feeling. I like that feeling. You know, so when I made the mistakes that I did, you know, I lost all this. I lost it. You know, I had a lot of opportunities. I had a lot of uh, good things that could have happened for me, and I turned my back. I chose to turn my back on them, and I went the other way. I chose to, you know, to try and be a thug. I chose to, you know, do these things that I thought were gonna propel me forward.
Talking about talents and gifts, you know, a lot of people, you know, tell me, oh Manny, man, you know, you're lucky, man, you know, you have a talent, you know, you're an artist. And my answer to most, you know, is, you know, we're all artists. It's, you know, we just, you know, have different things that, you know, we have a passion and that we love to do and don't really take the time, you know, to explore it. Particular piece here, the theme is gonna be, you know, a heartbeat, and you know, some people, you know, when they say they speak from the heart. You know, when it comes, you know, to that phrase, I say I paint from the heart. This particular piece is going for a fundraiser to an organization, a fellowship that's actually saved my life. Um, you know, what I'm trying to pass on in this particular painting is, you know, it's, you know, the death that's associated with, you know, the lifestyle that I used to live, man, you know, addiction. And in spite of all that, you know, we're gonna go ahead and flow with, you know, going back to life. You know, how many heartbeats did we give to negative thinking in the past and negative thoughts, and you know how where my life is at today is all about positive heartbeats, man.
When I turned 20, I was clean. When I turned 21, I was still clean and had not taken a drink or a drug. I met a beautiful woman in this process who loves and cares about me truly. Blessed. She carries my unborn child that she's going to give birth to. Going in here to my baby shower, you know, this should be interesting, right? See how many people love me, because I tell you before, if I told people I was having a baby shower and I showed up, it'd probably just be me. It's my, you know, fiance, Casey. We're having a baby, you know, Neve. We're here at the baby shower now. About to have some fun, some food, and kind of fellowship a little bit, you know, with our loved ones. And just have a good time, basically. Just have a good time and enjoy and eat and have all this fun and without being high. It's just a new level of gratitude for me. Like when it gets to the point where it's overwhelming.
It was a thought of, you know, giving, you know, Neva an opportunity already before, you know, before she came. Unlike some of us, man, including her dad, you know, he ain't had that opportunity. I was trying to put, you know, as much grace as I could. You know, the original sonogram was a black and white picture, and you know, that's what they give you. And at that moment, with a black and white picture, you gotta, you know, you get excited over it, and you know, of what you're bringing into this world, you know, life. And when I seen the picture, I said, you know what, I gotta brighten it up, and this is what I came up with. To let her know that before she's even gotten here, she's already loved me. She's already got a future. So, thank you.
Well, I'm actually free, you know, not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually, I'm free. You know, I'm finally happy at a point in my life, you know, and it was a long time coming, you know, and I just want people to understand that you don't have to do 25 years of your life in and out of prison systems, you know, suffering from drug addiction, in and out of treatment centers and all those different things. You don't have to, you know, wait that long to realize that's a dead-end life. You know, you can start now while you're young and have your whole life ahead of you, man. You can start making some positive decisions.
You know, we've all struggled, you know, with different, you know, obstacles in our life, man. And you know, it wasn't until, you know, with each and every one of us started to slow down a little bit and, you know, turn our life, you know, over to the care of God and start, you know, to do some of the suggested things that some of our loved ones and close friends were telling us to do that we wouldn't do because we were just, you know, so stuck in our ways for so long that we didn't know anything else different than that. You know, previously I had spoken about this piece and where it's going. You know, this is going to be used for a fundraiser for a 12-step fellowship program, which I'm a part of. The theme for this particular painting is called The Heartbeat of NA.
I'm feeling like something just came in and just took over for a little bit. It's like, you know, when I speak, it's just,
Oh, really?
you know, I try like to let God in, you know, and it's just a great feeling after, you know, when His presence is just there. I can't really describe it.
to some of you out there, man, you gotta want something better for your life. You know, I'm here to tell you, I don't care what society tells you, I don't care what other people tell you, I'm here to tell you that you're worth more than that you're worth a good life, that you're worth, you know, success and enjoyment and happiness. You're worth it.
My direction today is to do God's will. You know, for a long time it was my will that I was doing. All that ever brought me was pain and suffering. You know, it took me some time to understand, you know, what God wanted me to do. You know, and that's been a task in itself. The first thing I had to do was slow down. Everybody's got their own little twist, man, but I tell you what everybody's got that they don't use, man. That's the man upstairs, man. Without him, there's no grace. You know, a long time ago, I heard a quote, and it said, a man's happiness is not weighted in gold or silver, but it's actually weighted in the precious moments that he spends with his loved ones and the quality of life that he's lived. You know, with that being said, you know, today I'm broke, but I'm rich in other areas. You know, a rich man can't buy what I got.
Stepping out of the darkness, coming into the light. You know, somebody once told me, you know, when we shed our weaknesses, you know, our faults into the light, they die. You know, and the reality is, you know, that's what I had to do to get to where I'm at today. I had to walk into the light. I had to step out of the darkness so many times that I have to come to the light side of things in order to get better, to keep pushing forward, to keep moving forward. That was the main goal, was to keep going forward. You know, one person told me, if I try and be a little bit better today than I was yesterday, and a whole lot of days go by, that's a whole lot better Mike is.
Final closing, I'm going to share one of my poems which I wrote. They both flew inspired with faith and hope. Then they met a rose. It sat still, but not by will, because it wanted to fly alongside the dove and the butterfly. The rose, frustrated and watery-eyed, told the dove and the butterfly, I have no hope or faith, I only have dreams that I could fly. An angel spoke and said to the rose, cry no more, you're full of love. Mr. Dove and Mrs. Butterfly will pick you up, and with their hope and faith, you will share your love. So the rose rose with the butterfly and the dove. The angel watched and said, faith and hope never looked better now that they met love, the rose that wanted to fly.